the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week. And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your host, Joshua. And today's question is, how can embracing discomfort lead to unparalleled success in business? Well, we got our dear friend here, Peter Banigo, who is going to answer that question for us. After Peter, after starting multiple businesses over a decade, Peter has spent the last few years on what he considers his zone of genius, helping businesses do more and earn more with technology through his Tech Your Business podcast and his other products. We're going to dive deep into all of that today and see what makes Peter successful. And Peter, thank you so much for coming on to today. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Joshua, and thank you for having me on.
Fantastic, Peter. I don't know if the audience just saw you put on your glasses, so I'm going to put mine back on. And we're going to be on this one together.
The nerdy look.
All right. Yes, the look, the smart look. They say that nerds are the new kings, because we are leading the Silicon Valley, techpreneurs over there. And, the nerd is the new cool because in this world of tech world, new tech world, yeah, we are kings. We know everything. But you know your thing, of course, Peter, with your Tech Your Business podcast. And I understand this is precisely the theme of your other products and the things that you talk about. But before we really get into it, Peter, can you share us your journey? First off, where did it all begin? I understand that you are from I asked this earlier. I don't know if I could pronounce it right, so I'm just going to say Nigeria. Possibly could have said that right, so thank you. But you are from Nigeria. You go around to the UK as well, and mostly you are in Istanbul. It has been quite a journey for you, but where did this all start? Can you share us with you from running multiple business, focusing on your zone of genius right now? Did you always know as a child? What were some pivotal moments as in your childhood, in your life, that kind of shaped your approach today?
Funny enough, if you had asked me when I was a child, I think probably up to when I was maybe 19, 20, they had asked me what I wanted to be. I'll never have said I was going to be a business person.
Really?
And I think everything just connects. Everything just connects.
Wow.
Yeah. Because as a child, I was this child who, if my parents leave me at home, I'm going to open the TV, I'm going to open the radio, check if there's anyone inside. I was this very curious person. I've always been this very hands-on person.
Wow.
And I know back when I was younger, I used to talk with us and all that. And back in Nigeria, when you talk with classes, they always say, "Oh, you should be a medical doctor." So up till when I was, I think 13 or 14, I had my mind on that path, being a medical doctor.
Interesting.
But something happened. One of my friends, he had another brother.
Okay. I hope it's a good thing. Tell us.
He had another brother who was a medical doctor. So he brought some photos from their anatomy lab. And I realized if I'm going to be a medical doctor, I'm going to have to cut up the people. Didn't see myself doing that, so I left that career.
There you go. I just want to add that real quick. So you grew up wanting to tinker with machines, knowing how they want to work, and then you got curious. Maybe I want to find out how the body works. Then you realize you have to cut up someone, and you're like, nope, I'm out of there. Okay. And then what happened? What happened, Peter?
Yeah. So at that point, after medicine, the next thing was engineering. So I ended up studying engineering in school. I did a 5-year course in engineering. And out of that 5-year course, you have about 6 months in your fourth year where you go to a company and you work with the company just to see how it actually is in the industry.
Yes.
And while I was there with that company, there was a Monday I went to work. That was during that last financial crisis. I think that's like 2009, 2008 or 2009. Went to work in the
Mhm.
morning and like half of the workforce was fired that day. I looked at it was really I don't know how to put it. Because these people had families, they're really passionate about what they did and everything. And I was like, wait, so if I'm working in this field that I'm studying in, I can wake up one morning with all my responsibilities and everything and get fired. So at that point, I started looking for something else to do. So at the end of that 6 months internship, I ended around, I was supposed to end in December. I got it, I finished, like, I got it up early because of in November. By December, I already started my first business that year, but I didn't do anything with it. So that's how I got into business, basically.
Wow, there you go. I mean, that is quite the that's quite the kind of amusing path that you took on there. But I understand that now. Well, you got into business, and I understand you went from running multiple of them, and now you focused on one, and that actually improved your productivity. First of
Yes.
all, talk to us about these multiple businesses that you picked up and how were you managing to run all of them? But then, how were you able to shift this focus? And when did you realize that you had to shift your focus?
Okay. So for this, I'll go back a bit behind.
Hmm.
In
Please.
when I got into uni, I think my second year, my mom got me a laptop. This Acer, it was an Acer laptop. So,
Oh,
yeah, so I could just knock myself out on it. I could go into all the corners, and it got me really into technology. I think that's when I learned how to do a bit of coding, do a bit of
of
website back
course.
then.
Right.
Then when I was done with school, okay, I said I already started business after the internship. I had a year of school after that. Then once I was done with the year of school, I think the last of my last exam, after my last exam, I registered my first I started my first business, which was a web hosting company.
Okay.
Funny enough, I was fortunate that worked out. I
Okay.
started the next one, which was an SMS. It was just started with a business
Okay.
company that worked. Then I started a grill. That was in 2011, late
Oh,
2011. So now I left what was keeping me in the house on my bed, and because at that point I was like, making money and everyone else is going to work and it's weird. So I decided
hmm,
to so I opened up the
okay.
grill where we had chicken, fish and stuff like that. Had up the grill 2011, 2012, 2012, end of
Okay.
2012. I had to go for my master's in Coventry, that's in the UK. Then the grill failed once I went for my master's.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started another food business with a friend in the UK. Then Maria Sports, that was food delivery
Hmm.
too. Then I started another food business. Food business again in 2014, then
Hmm.
started an e-commerce business. So the business I started in the UK, the food business, that failed too. I started another business again, then started an e-commerce business, that started a procurement business. So at that point, by 2018, I
Okay.
was operating four businesses at the same time. And
Okay.
it was
Okay,
chaos.
first of all, you mentioned a few things there that failed as well, right? And you keep saying that
Yes.
it failed and it didn't work. Do you feel, was it because you were focusing on too many, or do you feel like it was just a matter of you were inexperienced at it?
Yes, the first one that failed, that's the grill. It was working really well, really,
Hmm.
really well. But once I put my got out of operation when I went for my masters, it failed because then I
Right.
didn't know. Yes, I was inexperienced because I didn't know what systems were, I didn't know what processes were. All I knew was just setting a price and buying
Right.
ingredients, selling them, and taking my
Hmm.
money. So once
There.
I wasn't
Hmm.
there to monitor everything, it just went down. So I
That
think
was
that
it.
taught me, yeah,
Hmm.
what to do, the right thing to do in next businesses that came up.
All right. Okay. Well, now that you have had that experience, you are now running four businesses. This is your 2018, right? Am I correct? At
Yes.
that point, you were running four businesses. Could you list to me those four businesses real quick? You had an e-commerce. Am I correct?
Okay. Yes, I had the e-commerce business, a procurement business.
Uh
I
huh.
had just started Target ICT, which is the one I run now in February
Okay.
2018. Then I had my web hosting business also running.
Web hosting business. Okay, so first of
Yeah.
all, power to the nerds. We got it. It may sound easy on paper or when you talk about it, when you hear it, because people imagine like it's just online, man. You're gonna sit down, you're gonna do some code, you're sitting down, you're just like on the internet. It's online, man. It's not like you're gonna carry 10 pounds of like equipment or some shit
Yeah.
like that, right? But of course, it takes a lot of brain power. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of dedication, which I feel it's just impossible to spread yourself across too thinly, especially when it takes the mind. It requires the mind to run, especially those nature of businesses and four of them. Now, talk to me about the shift in focus. When did you start realizing, like, oh no, I need to stop and I actually need to focus on this one? And why did you focus on what you're focusing now?
All right. So at that point
Mm-hmm.
in 2018, I think I was actually running businesses to an extent well because at least had the idea from that other business that failed about systems, about processes. But the thing is that there is so much you can do at the end of the day because I tell people that even though you have to sell virus, it's difficult. You have to face problems. You have to face problems every single day. So now just imagine doing that over four different.
No, just tech
Yes.
problems, everything, and you do that for no way, no way.
Honestly, no, it was something else. So at that point, I was working a lot. I used to get to the office by 6:30 in the morning. I only till like 8. I used to work weekends. I never used to take holidays. I was stressed. I was overweight. I was
Of
like
course,
20 something kilograms bigger than I am right now.
no,
I had high
no.
blood pressure. Everything was just
Wow.
everything was wrong. But I kept powering through it. I just kept powering through it. But I think I got into what happened was I got into a relationship with them that took a toll on the other part of my mind. So I stopped being able to focus too much on business, and I think that's where I just everything just fell apart.
Interesting. Everything fell apart.
Yes.
Okay, let me just make that clear. First of all, you got into a relationship and everything started to fall apart.
Like
Did I
that.
make that clear? Okay, so the quick listeners out there, do not focus this. A mention of you were maxed out already, trying to run all these businesses, and then you took on a little bit more kind of responsibility because you needed that
Yeah.
companionship in your life, but also you still had to stretch yourself further because this is a commitment as well. The same way that you're committed to your for other four businesses, and I can imagine how why it would fall apart then because you're just out. You're out. There's nothing more to give. You're actually in the negative by now. You realize that you started shifting your focus now, and which how did you choose which weight to shed, and why did you focus on what you're focusing now? And did you did you dump your girl? Okay, okay, okay. Well, we workaholics, we probably deserve it anyway. But Peter, again, it's nice where you see where you are. You turned yourself around. You said you were overweight, and now you're focusing on this one thing. It is your zone of genius. Talk to us about that.
Okay, so I think once when I think I was managing everything when the relationship was on, but around the pandemic, I think that's like late 2019. We broke up, and then it really took a really really bigger toll than it had been taken before on me. So I
Mhm.
just I got to a point where I just zoned out. I didn't want to do anything. I just let everything to crash.
Whoa.
Yeah, let everything to
Okay.
crash, and yes, but later on, I decided to pick the pieces up again. That was
Mhm.
2021. 2021. And at that point, I think it was really a good thing when I look back because that was the only time I could actually sit and think. Because before that, every morning I wake up and I walk. Wake up, I walk. I'm not really thinking about what I'm
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah.
doing,
Oh
doing,
my
doing, doing,
goodness.
doing, doing. I
Do it.
really, yeah.
Mhm.
So I really had time to think, and I asked myself, okay, these things I'm doing, why am I doing them? A lot of them where I just see something and I'm like, oh, this looks nice, and I get into it. Oh, this looks nice, and I get into it. The only thing I got into out of what I already knew how to do was target ICT, and
Okay.
that's because for all the businesses I had started, I always had an advantage with technology. So for the reels, the three businesses I had, we had online deliveries when it wasn't popular. We had Facebook ads when Facebook ads were popular. We were using for my procurement business, I was
Yeah.
using SEO to get clients when that's nobody else was doing that. So I always had this advantage with technology, and I had people acquaintances, friends, and co. They'll be like, "Oh, how do you do this? How do you do this? And how do you do that?" And I realized that that's a business answering that question.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
so
it
that's
right
how
there.
I. So
Okay,
that's when I
okay.
started Target ICT in 2018. And when I decided, so okay, what am I going to focus on?
Mm-hmm.
It was a no-brainer. There was no
No
thinking
brainer.
twice.
That's it.
That
Right.
was it.
That
Yeah.
was it. First of all, how common is it for hard workers, workaholics? Let's just call them hard workers, right? I'm sure that we have an audience and listeners as well who are running at the same pace and running themselves thin, right? And how common is a story where you get like you feel so overwhelmed, and so I'm just gonna zone out. I'm just gonna drop everything. I'm done, whatever, and just let ennui take the wheel, so to speak. Uh, And and it's common. It's a common burnout feeling for entrepreneurs, for business owners, and you realize this early on. And it took a massive shift for you. It took a massive experience for you to kind of start realizing this. And now you're sharing these same stories to audience and listeners and to your to a lot of people through your podcast called Tech Your Business. And the aim here, the goal is the aims to simplify tech trends for overwhelmed business owners. That's it. Exactly, right? What a
Yeah.
message. Very, very simple. Simplifying tech trends for overwhelmed business owners. First off, you mentioned that this is how you realize, okay, this is how where I'm going to zone in, and this is where I'm going to focus on. What inspired you to start this podcast? What inspired you to zone in to a podcast? Why choose a podcast to communicate this expertise of yours? Actually, to be more clear, inspired you? Why choose a podcast to communicate your zone of genius? Because you call it zone of genius. We need to elaborate on that a little bit. How was it, and how has it helped your listeners?
Okay, so previously I still write a lot. My parents, my
Mhm,
mom was an English
mhm.
teacher, my dad was a journalist, so we used to get opportunities to write all the time.
Yeah.
So I had a blog actually on my personal website back in 2010. So I just used to share experiences I had, things and all that, mostly to document and so I can look back and see how far my journey has gone. So when I started Target ICT, I started with a blog on Target ICT.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
the thing I realized was, especially during the pandemic, I was able to stay at home a lot more. I was able to walk, just calm down and rest and relax and all that. And I realized I discovered podcasts during the pandemic. I realized I could just put in a 1 or 2 hour podcast in my ears and doing something else,
Oh,
but I'm still
yep.
consuming that information. As
Yes.
against having a blog where I have to turn on my laptop, my iPad or my
Your
phone
full
and pay
focus.
full attention.
Yes.
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 So I could do 2 things, listen to a podcast. So I'm like, okay, I think a podcast would be a better way to share this information and share it on the blog. Because apart
Mhm,
from this being able to do maybe drive or jog or run or be at the gym and listen to the podcast. If you
mhm.
want to see things, maybe you want to maybe facial expressions, you want to
Yeah.
see demos of things and all that. A podcast is a perfect thing. So that's
Perfect.
why I
It is.
decided,
It's
okay, I'm going to
absolutely
start a
perfect.
podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah. But the issue was that if I started a podcast, I felt I was an introvert.
How come? Okay, okay. You need to elaborate on that a little bit. Why? Why would you feel like you're an introvert?
Well, I think back when I was in school, maybe five. If I tried when I was cool, I was always known as a quiet kid. I
Yeah.
probably would have won an award for that. I've never been a big talker. I've never been a big talker. Then I used to be afraid back then that because a lot of times I'm having a conversation with you and I forget, I just lose my train of thought or something. And I felt this was something that if I had to go on a podcast or something was going to happen to me. So all those things, those were all the blocks I had. So
Okay.
when I started the podcast, it actually started as audio only. I remember I did like 8 or 9 takes of the first episode.
Okay.
Eight
Okay.
or nine, I just like maybe 10 minutes or something, 8 or 9 takes. And then I put it out. And then, I'm not going to do this. I think I kept it for almost maybe 6 months or thereabouts. Then the
Okay.
second episode, I discovered this 11 largest AI tool you can use to clone your voice. I was like, okay, let me try
Mm.
that. So I did that for the second and third episode, but I didn't like it. Didn't get my accent. It didn't get the way I talk. It didn't get my
Yeah, it's just
tonality. Yeah,
it
it
must have
wasn't.
felt, yeah, it must have felt a certain way for you as well. So how did you slowly transition onto that, and how did you finally realize that this is it? I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, so I think by the 10th episode, I was like, okay, solo episodes take a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of time, and all that. All that time, we'll get guests on the podcast, and then the guests I had to force myself on video. So
Force. Keyword
I had to
force.
literally pull myself.
Mhm, mhm. But Peter, I love that because it feels like you've grown into it. It feels like it feels natural for you now. You're very happy, you're very jolly about it, and you're putting yourself out there. And I remember one of my recent guests, he said that if you're going to be a business owner, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, even if you're going to be an executive, you need to know how to put yourself out there, right? Because even the act of like networking, going to conferences and all that, you need to give away your credit card, or your business card, right? If you're not going to give away your business card, right, people don't just like you're going to be a business card ninja. You're just throwing away credit cards anywhere and you're not even talking to people. No one likes that, right? So
Yeah,
the simple act of even just networking, meeting people, shaking their hands, talking, that involves putting yourself out there. And it's no different, I believe, on online. Because especially when if it's a business, if it's a service, people want a face to associate to it. They want identity, especially, I mean, that's why influencers are so popular today, because they're out there, their faces are out there. And I feel like if we start approaching business and entrepreneurship the same way, it's connecting intimately. That's why I love podcasts. You love podcasts. We understand the importance of podcasts because, first of all, you see, literally, we're just vibing right here. We love it. We're both, we're both just, having a fun, casual chat, and it feels like, our audience are just really, literally, just not right next to us. They're probably laughing along as well. They're thinking about the jokes, or listening to the jokes and all that. I love it because it puts an importance into intimacy, into, how you say this, genuine content,
yes,
relatable content that people can connect with. What better way to communicate what you talk about, which is tech trends as well, right? There's no better way, there's no better, I think, more casual way than to do that. So now that because it's not just about you teaching people how to simplify tech trends, right? It's also you
yeah,
communicating, paying, how you began paying attention to your health, right? It was you also paying attention to, like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. I will put my health first. I cannot be overwhelmed again. I cannot have that breakdown all over again, right? You've
yes.
improved your productivity, and your overall business performance has also improved. Can you share now how you compare yourself before and after you made this conscious shift? How would you say, or rather, what would be some practical tips that you picked up along the way that you can share with us today?
All right, so I think basically there's something I learned in the beginning of this journey that as adults, as human beings, we typically balance three things, and those three things are our health, our wealth, and our relationships.
There you
We
go.
typically have to, yeah, have them balanced. But I realized that at that point in my life, I was mostly focusing on business, the wealth aspect. I didn't care about the health, was a bit on the relationship side. So going forward, I decided, okay, I'm going to take my health serious. I'm going to do something every day because I've learned that's the best way. I have a report here where I wrote consistency.
Right.
The only way I've seen
Right.
to get results is being consistent. So my step in the journey was Okay, my aunt who was really, really close to me, she passed.
Right.
She was diabetic. My mom's is diabetic, so it can be me next. It can
That
be me.
Peter, you're
So
so funny.
so
Okay,
I
okay.
listen. I was doing a bit of research, and they were like, okay, if you start being active, if you lose weight, there's a very high chance of you not becoming diabetic. So that was my first motivation. I was like, okay, let
There
me
you
start
go.
something. So I
Okay,
first
okay,
started late 2022. I,
okay.
I I had a puppy, so I used to walk my puppy every day.
Oh,
Then
okay.
January
Oh,
2023, I made a commitment that I'm going to do a minimum of 6,000 steps a day. I've not missed any
let's
day from
go.
then
Let's
till now.
go. Let's.
From
All
then till
right.
now, from February 20th, 2023, I joined the gym. I think that's like the first time I stepped into a gym because I think I was the most unsporty person growing up. I used to, when we had physical education classes in school, I used to come late to avoid it. That's how bad I was.
Where? Look at you. Where are you at right now? So talk to me a bit. Wait, wait. First of all, let's make it clear. What was your weight prior to all this improvement? Or how much did you weigh, and how much do you weigh now?
Okay, so my weight when I started the whole thing was I was averaging between 110 and 108 kilos, and I'm not really so I'm not to 6 feet, so that's bad.
Height.
I'm about 1.7 meters. Yeah,
Okay.
5 feet 9 or thereabouts.
Okay. You're pretty tall still. You're like your average height
Yeah,
is that
but
you're still pretty tall. But whoa, yes, exactly. That is, but unfortunately, not for that weight. But again, so you made a commitment. You say you were going to, you say you were going to make a commitment to, to for your health. You're going to take 2,000 steps per day. And how do you feel that changed your life? And what were some practical steps that you feel our listeners can take away from you from that right now?
yeah. Yeah, I think first of all, that's 6,000 steps. After I did it for the first month, second month, there's this thing about consistency. There's this thing about doing what you say you're going to do that builds confidence in you.
Okay,
So once I was able to do that consistently, I did miss
I
a video.
love
I'm like,
that.
okay, let me look at this gym. Let me
I
look
love
at going
that.
to a gym. I went
Mhm,
into the gym and I started doing
mhm.
three reps, so 3 days a week, 3 days a week. I think by July, I'd gone from 108 kilos to I think 90 something. I ended last year at
Wow,
85.4,
wow,
eighty-five
wow,
point four
wow.
kilos.
Very
Right
cool.
now, I think I said this morning I was 84.6. That's from 108, 110. Then, so I think that is basically the consistency. So I started with the gym, just doing something within the walk. But the walk
Right.
takes me like maybe getting this an hour, roughly an
How
hour
many?
every
An
day.
hour? 2,000
Yeah,
steps.
roughly an hour,
6,000.
1,000
6,000. I'm
steps.
sorry, I keep
Yeah,
saying steps. And then you started going to the gym, you started lifting, started putting on some muscle.
yeah.
How many times a day in the week, a gym?
Three times a week.
Three
Three
times a
times a
week. So
week.
now what you're saying is that what you're trying to communicate right now to our audience and listeners is that consistency, that commitment of following
Everything.
through. That's it. Commitment of following through of what you said, and the consistency of doing it is going to give you a level of confidence that you probably don't have had before. And that level of confidence will flow naturally into your endeavors as a business owner. Peter, I love
Exactly.
that message because this is exactly why I believe that it starts with physical strength. It starts with physical discipline or physical fortitude because people ask mental or physical. Like, what's more important, mental strength or physical strength? I would say physical first. It's kind of a unconventional way of looking at it because most people will say like, no, you got to be mentally strong first, and I get that. I agree with that, but it's difficult. It's much more difficult to be mentally strong than to be physically strong. Now, when you start getting into that physical strength, you're building that strength in you physically, you're starting to build also the mental muscle of discipline and commitment and constantly doing it consistently. There,
Yes.
that's why I really say it starts with physical strength and then mental strength follows, and that just flows everything else into your life. And I see that in you, Peter. I see that you focusing now on your zone of genius. And I'm here for you. I'm cheering you on. All our audience listeners, I bet, are also cheering you on. Peter, it's I wish I had all that time to really pick your tech business brains. I still want to talk a lot about more about that, but you already also provided your insights and your expertise when it comes to putting together multiple businesses. Of course, it's a it's kind of a final question to start wrapping this up. I want to ask about your future vision because you talk about tech trends. Of course, we know AI right now we are at the advent of AR. The future is now when it comes to AI, and it's been around a while, but it's just one of the many trends I'm sure that is going to happen. How do you see the future of tech trends moving forward? What are the things that you know uh, what are the things that you are seeing that is going to emerge in the future? Maybe how things are going to change, and how do you see technology evolving better to support businesses?
Yeah, okay. So I think one thing about AI I see is that I feel AI is just another tool, like every tool before
Yes,
it. But the
I
thing
agree.
with AI is that it's when you have things that really improve the productivity of businesses, then you see that they end up changing the way we do business. For instance, when the internet came in, it made them. That's why we're able to do this podcast. Your
Yes, that's it.
mouse,
That's it.
mouse,
Yes, yes.
mouse away,
Hmm.
and in
Hmm.
milliseconds we can listen to each other. So AI is
Yeah,
one of those one of that type of tool, like the
I
computer,
agree.
like the internet. So I feel AI is
I
going to
agree.
change a lot of change the way we do business a lot because if you notice since the internet came up, since the computers came up, you tend to
Hmm.
see large $1 trillion businesses, and that's because
Yes.
people are more productive. People that have been maybe on a typewriter, or people that have been sending letters and waiting for 3 months to get a response, they're getting these, they're doing this faster. So AI is going to make people faster. It's going to make people able to do more, and we'll end up
Wow.
having much bigger businesses, much more
Yes.
productivity, and I think a
More
better economy generally.
efficiency.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it. That's it. And it's just going to make things better for us, make things faster. And you are the
yeah.
man to talk about us about that thing. And you're going to, talk to people about the trends, what are they going to, we're going to look forward to in the future. First off, Peter, I love the insights. I love the energy. I can feel the enthusiasm from all over here, all the way across the globe. And Peter, I'm quite happy to have you on here. I've had a lot of fun. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, fantastic, Peter. And to all that's Peter, ladies and gentlemen, to all our audience and listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, as much as we both did. Again, ladies and gentlemen, follow Peter. Oh, by the way, wait, Peter. Before I let you go, where can we find you?
Yeah.
Where can we connect with you? Where can we? Oh man, we enjoyed this way too much. Where can we connect with you? Where's your website? Where can we find your podcast?
Okay, so I think basically for anything fresh about me, you only to this my really updates. You can
Okay.
see yes, maybe the podcast. So if you get on the
Okay.
podcast, that's on
Te-
techyourbusinesspodcast.com,
Mhm.
or if it's social media, I think I only update my LinkedIn. So just my name, just search for me. I think for now I'm the only Peter Banigo on LinkedIn till maybe a new one is born.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the podcast name is Tech Your Business Podcast. The man, the host himself, and our guest today is Peter Banigo. Peter, are you on Instagram, LinkedIn, anywhere? I mean, you said you talked about LinkedIn just now, but are you on Instagram as
LinkedIn.
well?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, but I haven't updated in like 2, 3 years.
Uh, Peter, it's been great. Thank you so much for the energy. Thank you so much for your time. One
Thank
last bit
you.
of wisdom. One last bit of wisdom you want to take to our audience with them. Take us home.
Okay, I think one last thing I can share with the audience is focus is powerful. Focus is really powerful. I think that's what I've learned
Focus.
in my entire
Mhm.
journey. Yes, because when I look at it, back when I had 4 businesses running at the same time, I thought I had multiple streams of income. But the problem was
Mhm.
that some streams were flowing properly, some streams had leaky pockets, and the good streams were flowing into the bad streams, leaving me with not much. But now I
Right.
have my stream, my it's something I'm focusing on. I'm able to. I always tell people that then I used to make a lot of money from four businesses, but I wasn't getting a lot to myself. But now
Yes,
I
that's
get
it.
much more to
Yes,
myself compared
that's it.
to them. And I'm
I love
just,
that.
and the thing is that it's just, there's so much space for growth.
That's it.
So I don't even have that bandwidth. I don't even have space to
Wow,
start something new. Just
that's it.
focusing on this one just gives me everything I need.
Wow, that's wonderful. Remember to give to yourself first.
Yeah.
Focus on yourself first. Peter Banigo, ladies and gentlemen, is our guest today. This story in the episode has been great. Peter, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed
To
every
all
bit
our
of
guests and
it.
listeners out there and everyone out there, thank you for listening to the episode. We will see you on the next one. Bye bye.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.